Well, hello and welcome to Waffle-Free Stories for Kids. It's Tina here. I am so glad you could join me because this is the very first adventure that sees Jack, Horace and Gemima off into the thick of Noodle Woods. Now, this is how it works. The stories are inspired by the words sent in by you. So because this is the very first story, instead of the usual 3 words, we're using 5. And these words were sent in by Ava in Australia, and by Sophia in Australia, and by Hayden in Canada. These are the words. From Ava, she sent in cake and food. From Sophia, she sent in, wait for it, lava and ketchup. Okay. And Hayden sent in buffalo. Oh, so we have cake and food, lava and ketchup, and buffalo. What kind of story can we make out of that? This is what happened. It started on a gorgeous, sunny day in the middle of a summer. Jack, Horace and Gemima all got up early because they kind of like to get up early. Horace leapt out of bed, ran downstairs and opened the fridge because Horace always woke up hungry. You're going to find this out as the adventure continues. Gemima, on the other hand, a little different. She crawled out of bed, rolled over, fell face first into a whole pile of cushions, and then strolled downstairs because she liked to wake up slow. Jack, on the other hand, on that morning, he woke up grumpy. Now, this was unusual. This was weird. Grumpy was just not Jack's style. He came down the stairs and he stomped and he stamped and was like, you snort. And my feet were cold and there was wind blowing. Horace and Gemima kind of looked at each other and said, what? No, we cannot have a day like this with Jack in such a mood. Our mission today is to cheer him up. All right, what can we do? What can we do? We could climb to the top of the old volcano. Too much effort. We could go for a swim. Nah, if he's already grumpy, maybe he doesn't want to get wet. We could do, no, that won't work. We could do the other, nah, it's not going to work. Finally, it was Horace who had the idea. Probably because he was always hungry. It was Horace who said, a picnic. Let's have a picnic. And of course, Gemima agreed, because that was a pretty splendid idea. They got out the picnic basket, they put it on the table, and then they opened every cupboard and every fridge and the pantry, and they looked for every food that Jack loved most. There were marshmallows in the picnic basket. There were chips in the picnic basket. There were muffins. There was so much cake packed into that picnic basket that Gemima and Horace were sure they wouldn't be able to pick it up. And all the way through this, Jack grumped around the kitchen. But they ignored him and they kept on packing. And then it was Gemima who paused and said, what is the one thing that Jack puts into everything? He will dip a raspberry in it. He will dip a strawberry in it. He will dip sausages and chips in it. Ketchup. Ketchup was Jack's favorite food. If we put a pile of ketchup into this picnic, he is bound to cheer up even a little bit. They put 6 bottles into the picnic basket. Then, dragging Jack with him, off they went into the woods. And they went this way and they went that way, and no matter what they said or what they did, Jack was not cheering up. He humped and he grumped and he kicked things and he stood on things and Finally, Gemima just almost gave up. She said, you're tired. You didn't sleep well last night. Go lie down under that tree, have a nap. Oh, you'll feel better when you wake up. That's what Jack did. He found a tree, he lay down, he squeezed his eyes shut. He lay this way a bit, he lay that way a bit, but no matter what he did, he could not sleep, because there was this noise, there was this roar, there was this muttering from who? Jack sat up. Who is snoring? Well, Horace and Gemima could only watch as Jack searched every cave, he searched every cavern, he looked in tree stumps, he looked behind trees. He only stopped searching when he found the source of that snore. And when he did, Gemima and Horace took a step back. But not Jack, because the thing that was snoring was lying on his back, hooves in the air, twitch, 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 happy, happy sleep, was the biggest buffalo they had ever seen. Horace and Gemima ran. They did. They just legged it. They grabbed the picnic basket and they were gone. Jack, on the other hand, he jumped on top of the buffalo. He rattled him. He shook him. He smacked him about until the buffalo woke up. What are you doing? It was only when the buffalo stood that Jack saw how wide he was, how tall he was, and how furious he was. That Jack ran too, with the buffalo very close on his heels. Oh my goodness, they ran out of the cavern, around the little hill, down to the river, through a bit of a forest, over a funny little bridge, back to the other side. Oh my heavens, they didn't stop. Finally it was Horace who said, "Lose the picnic!" You got to know how bad things are for Horace to say lose the picnic, right? Gemima threw the whole picnic into the river, and they kept running. Then they came to a part of the river that seemed slow enough, and Jack said, "Cross the river here." But then he suddenly put the brakes on and said, "Stop!" And everybody froze, because instead of the normal, happy, bumbly, blue and bright and clear river, it was red and goopy and gluey and, oh my gosh! Jack looked to the volcano. The volcano's burst! It's woken up! It's exploded! The river is full of lava! Well, the buffalo was right there, running close on their heels. Jack and Horace and Gemima kept running down through the river until they came to a tiny bridge. Horace was first. It rocked and it swayed and it dipped and it sank. He got to the other side. Gemima was next. It rocked and it swayed some more and it dipped and she got to the other side. Then Jack, he got on the bridge. And he got to the other side. Then the buffalo, he put one hoof on the bridge. It dipped and it swayed. He put another hoof on the bridge. It sank and it creaked. He was too big. He was too wide. He was too heavy to cross that bridge. He took a step back and he glared at Jack, Horace and Gemima. Oh, what now were they going to do? There was a river of lava. They were on the wrong side of it. The buffalo was blocking the bridge. How were they ever going to get home? So they all sat down to think. It was then that Jack frowned a little. He looked at the river. It wasn't the smoking, seething, furious mass that he would expect. No, there was a marshmallow. There was a cupcake. There was a sausage, bubbling down the river, completely uncooked and looking happy. What? So much to the shock, horror, and surprise of Gemima and Horace and even the buffalo, Jack put his toe in the river. Then he lifted his foot up and he touched the tip of his toe. It's not lava, he said. It's ketchup. The bottles must have burst. Oh my goodness. Jack started to laugh. He laughed until his sides ached. He laughed until he could hardly, when you laugh so loud, you find it difficult to breathe. He had to sit down. He had to lie down. He had to roll over. He was laughing so hard. He thought his whole body would explode. Oh, it's not as look at this. It's a laugh. It's a ketchup. I can't catch his nose. Oh my heavens. Horace couldn't believe it. And he went and he picked up a marshmallow. And he picked up the sausages and he picked up cake and more cake. Oh, and he had a wild picnic of his own. Oh my goodness. So Jack, so happy he eventually fell asleep and he had a best nap he'd ever had in his life. Horace finished the picnic and he felt happy and full. Gemima crossed over the river to go and say hello to the buffalo. She found his name was Rufus, and he was happy to be their friend. So after all of that, the sun was going down. They decided to camp the night by the side of the river, and then tomorrow morning they were sure they would find their way home. But what really happened, we're going to find out next. So, it's so good. Okay, I'll see you next time. Oh my gosh, the next story is coming up. In the meantime, go to www.𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.com because that's where you can join in. Send me words because these are the words that inspire the next story. All right, see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.